Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be assuming that you already watched my video on how to change the default speaking rate of your computer. If you haven't seen my video on doing that already, stop this video and click on the eye in the top right corner, go to that video, and then you'll be able to come back. Otherwise, this won't make any sense. There's also a link in the description to that video. Second, this video is broken up into 5 sections, so you don't have to watch the whole thing, you can just skip to the section you want. The first section generally deals with how this all works. The second section deals with terminal. The third with automator, the fourth with troubleshooting issues, and the fifth is on creating a little shortcut for your computer. Now, one last thing before we start and jump right in is that this is going to not be legal advice, so if you do anything on your computer, it is not our legal responsibility. You have to assume responsibility for doing that. I just have to throw that in. Alright, so let's jump in and we'll get started. Alright, so let's start with the basics. The main problem is that the text-to-speech system on your Mac only lets you go at 360 words per minute. So if you drag the slider all the way up to the top, it goes like this.
Hello, my name is Ava. I am an American English voice.
Now that's fast, but for some people that's just not fast enough. And so the reason that this happens is because this slider is maxed out at 360 words per minute. The actual voice can read faster, but it doesn't let you go beyond that. So, how do you change this? Whenever you're looking at one of these windows, you're looking at what's called a graphic user interface. It's a way for you to understand the computer and for the computer to understand you. When you click a button like this,
Hello, my name.
You're really sending through this button a bunch of code to the computer that the computer understands, and then the computer is able to, respond in a way that you understand, which is when you see the button flash, right? So this helps users communicate with the computer because computers don't speak English. However, the problem is that GUIs are sometimes limited. For example, the slider doesn't go all the way out to here. If it did, it would be a little bit of a different story. So what we can do instead is, instead of using the GUI, we can communicate directly with the computer using something called terminal. So this is your terminal. It's not very scary. A lot of people, when they hear the word terminal, get all freaked out. But on our end, we're going to be using the terminal to actually figure out how to edit the code of the computer so that the computer can directly understand us. So basically, in the terminal, you can just type in codes and tell your computer what to do. So if I want to talk to the computer in Python, I just type in Python, and it will know that I want Python. If I go back, I can say quit, and it'll go back to my thing. There's a bunch of things you can do, but for now, we'll just focus on this script right here. So this is the script that I have, and I pulled it from Stack Exchange, which I mentioned in my other video. So I'm not going to explain everything in this entire script because, first of all, I don't have a perfect understanding of how everything works. I didn't make the script. I only modified it. And second of all, I just think that that would take a little bit too long. So let's start off with the first line. putil convert JSON. Okay, well, a putil is just a way for a computer to work with a property list, which just contains data. So this right here, this line right here, library preferences com.apple speech speech voice preference plist. This is our plist. This contains our speech synthesis information, right? Okay, so that's simple enough. And when we say we're converting it JSON, we're converting it from a JSON file to a Python file, which is just a little bit easier to work with sometimes, or at least in this case, it makes it helpful. Okay, so that's simple enough. So what's the next thing? Import JSON imports the library right here to make a change. Okay, that's simple enough. And djson load stdin, din rather, just creates a dictionary in JSON. Again, I'm not explaining this perfectly, but if you want to really break it down, I'm sure you can talk to someone who understands Bash. So the main thing that we care about, though, is this item right here, -1, 720. The 720 stands for how many words per minute we want our computer to read. So if I type in 400, I make my computer read at 400 words per minute. 720 just happens to be the maximum, so that's what it's set for me. Okay, so the next section is putil binary convert, putil convert binary. This basically just converts this back into a JSON file so that your computer reads it again. And then after that, we have this little sleep thing that says sleep 1. This just gives it a quick pause so that it can run the process. There are better ways of doing this, but honestly, this works just fine for me. And then there's this kill all com.apple.speech speech synthesis ID. What that basically is that essentially tells the computer to reboot the speech synthesis core, and so does this one as well. If you want to make an edit to the P list, you have to actually first either reboot your computer or just reset the P list or restart the P list. So that's what I'm doing right here. And then this and exit just tells terminal to end the process once it's finished. So it's not just open and doing nothing. So that's basically what this little script does. It's actually not very complicated, but long story short, it takes your computer file, it converts it, it edits it, it converts it back, and then it restarts your speech synthesizer. Pretty simple. Then the next step was making this a little more user-friendly, and that's where Automator comes in. Okay, so in order to check our Automator workflow, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that original link that I put in the description. I'll put it in the description of this video as well. And we're going to click the download button again. Okay, and then click on your zip file and open that up. And then you're going to double click that. And instead of hitting install, what we're going to do is we're going to say open with Automator. So Automator is a program that's built into every Mac. And it's just a way of making a bunch of things happen all at once. It's a way of taking a bunch of repetitive tasks, like typing in our script into terminal, and all it does is it just does it all at once. So let me first explain each step sequentially. So first it says ask for text. What that does is it says, it shows the user how fast would you like in words per minute. And so when you actually run that, it does this. And you've seen this before if you've run this Automator workflow. Okay, so once you ask the user how fast they want to go, and you have a default answer of 500 words per minute, they click OK, and then it moves to the second section, which is copy to the clipboard. So whatever the user typed in here gets copied to the clipboard. The clipboard is just a place where the computer stores information. Whenever you copy something with Control-C or Command-C, or you right-click it and hit copy, it saves it to the clipboard. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to want to use this information for later. Next, it says Launch Application Terminal. This just launches the terminal, like this. And this next window, right over here, actually runs our script. Now, the script looks a little bit different than when I first showed it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the little modifications that I've done. First of all, you'll notice in here the script is almost completely identical to the script I showed you before. The only difference is that there's this little line, and here, it says and, open parentheses, the clipboard, close parentheses, and again, and there's quotation marks around that. And what this does is instead of saying 720 right over here, and you would have to type that in differently each time, what it does is it says whatever is on the clipboard, which is what the user typed over here, whatever's on the clipboard is what's going to be in here. So if they typed in 720, it's 720. If it typed 500, it's 500. So that just makes it a little bit easier on the user. They don't have to look at this ever. So then they have this little sleep button right here. This just tells the computer to pause. And then you have this kill all com.apple.speech synthesis ID and this kill all speech synthesis server. That's the same thing. No problem. We've already done that. And then around this script, right? So we have this script here. Sorry, we have this script here, right, in quotation marks. Around the script is something here. I'll just hit this hammer to make it look a little easier. We have these inputs and parameters. So this thing is just something that talks to Automator. I'm not going to worry about that. Basically, what this is saying, it's saying tell terminal, this application here, to activate, which means that it'll pop up. And then it'll say do this script. So it's just saying basically paste whatever's here into here. And then in the front window, which is right here, this is going to be the front window of terminal, and then it just runs the program. That's it. So the reason that I have it here is I'm running this off of AppleScript. AppleScript is just a simplified language that does a lot of useful things. But long story short, what your computer does is it asks the user how fast you want it to speak, and then it launches an AppleScript, which launches terminal, and basically just tells the computer what to do. And when you're looking at it here, it looks a little bit complicated. The old way I used to do this was I literally would have to look at the script every single time and paste it into the terminal. What the user just does, they click this button, they change the rate to whatever they want, and they hit enter, and everything gets done by themselves. So they don't have to do anything. It's very, very simple on whoever's running the program. So that's how this little thing works. All right. So we're about to enter my least favorite part of this video, which is going to be about troubleshooting. The reason I'm doing this is because often there are issues, and I remember whenever I would watch a tutorial or read a post on something like Stack Exchange, it would never work exactly the way they said it would work. And so when I would do that, things would just go wrong, and I would just be really frustrated, and at a certain point I would just give up, even though there was a perfectly good solution out there. So here's what happens if you have an issue. There's going to be a bunch of different troubleshooting steps, so we're just going to jump right in, and you can follow along as you want. So the first issue is if this pops up. Property list error, cannot parse a null or zero length data, JSON error, no value. Okay, so it'll be somewhere in your terminal thing. If you do the script and this happens, or you see this in it and nothing ends up working, here's what you do. And I'll explain why this happens. So you go to your system preferences and you type in speech, you go to your speech settings, and all you're going to do is you're going to move the slider around and hit play.
My name is Ava. I am an American English voice.
And in fact, if you want, you can also just select it, text,
Jackson's MVP, Talos potential $.
Okay, so why did I have to do this? Whenever you whenever you listen on your computer to something, your computer is drawing data from your property list, which I talked about in the section on terminal. So for example, if I put my scroller at fast, it tells the property list to go to 360 words per minute. The problem is if I've never told my computer how fast I want it to go, they actually just don't create a section in the property list for speed. So basically, when you tell your computer, well, I want my computer to go at this fast with my script, then the computer is really confused because it says, well, there's nothing for me to do. So what you have to do is you have to tell your computer, okay, I want it to go this fast. That's not actually how fast you want your computer to go. And you just tell your computer, okay, here it is. And then the computer, now next time you want to use your speech synthesis, you have to actually do that. It'll actually work. Also, make sure you check this box here and you've used your speech synthesis at least once. Otherwise, it just won't work. I'm guessing if you've watched this video, you've probably already figured out how to do all this, or all the speech synthesis. You probably won't need it, but there's a good chance that you will, so I left it. All right, so then once you've done that, run the workflow, and the services, we'll try it, change default TTS. We'll try changing it to 720 because it's pretty easy to tell that that's 720 words per minute. Okay, and then we're just going to hit all escape. All right, definitely at 720 words per minute. So that's how you solve that issue in particular. We'll jump to the next issue. So let's say nothing bad happened, you just ran the code, and then nothing changed. Now, it's possible that you had some sort of plist error. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is you go to a specific area in your library. So you're going to open up Finders, and you're going to hit Command-Shift-G, and you're going to go to this location right here. Okay? So then what you're going to do is I would make a copy. Okay? And then I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to move that to my desktop. And so in case something goes wrong, what you do is you'll delete the word copy, and you'll just drag it straight back in. But what we're going to do is we're going to delete this right here. Okay? This is your speech plist. It might just be corrupted. Okay? So then what we do is we adjust the slider, we hit play, and as soon as we do that, you'll notice that another plist pops up. And so anyway, that should solve this problem. So then you can just try it again, and you go terminal, services, change default TTS, 500, and it should work.
Jackson's MVP, Talos potential.
Yeah. All right, so that should work. Now, if that doesn't work, it's possible that you need to do this a little bit differently. It might be that you're just not finding the right speech core. So go to Activity Monitor by hitting Command Space and typing in Activity Monitor. And this is kind of like, if you know Windows, it's kind of like your text manager when you hit Control-Alt-Delete. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Search, and we're going to type in Speech Synthesis, or just Speech Synth. and then just click on that, and if there's any other ones, there might be another one. You're just going to delete that, or just force quit it rather, and it'll like just pop up again as soon as you're done. Change your slider.
Hello,
Hit
my
play.
name is Ava. I am an American English voice.
Quit your old terminal shell, and then run it again. And we're going to try 720 so we know that it's working. We're going to select something, and
Jackson's MVP, Talos potential.
all right, it should be working now. So hopefully that worked. If not, we're going to try one other thing. We're going to go back to our Finder window, and we're going to look for a thing that says com.apple.symbolic hotkey plist. We're going to delete that. Do the same thing. So copy it, delete it. And the one thing is that this might actually end up deleting some of your, actually it will end up deleting any hotkeys you've created. So it's kind of up to you if you want to do that. If it doesn't, if you really, really don't want to delete it, you can try to message me and we'll see if we can do something about that. But basically, you'll just do the exact same process with that. One last quick thing. I just want to show you how to create a keyboard shortcut for this little service. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Keyboard, under System Preferences, we're going to go to Shortcuts, and then we're going to click Services. Now, depending on what kind of services you've created in the past, if any, you may have a lot or you may have a little. Scroll to the General section, and then where you see Checked Default Change TTS, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the None button and hit Add Shortcut. So let's say I'm going to do Control, Command, and the / button, and so it should save that. So then now every time I want to use my shortcut, I hit Control, Command, and the / button, and it will just do my service for me. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that it's just a little bit faster, and if you want to create your own shortcut, you can. Just make sure that you don't create a shortcut that's already being used. Like, don't use Control-C, don't use Control-V. Those are already used. I recommend this one because I don't think it's used by any programs. All right, see ya. All right, so we finished the video. I hope that was helpful. If it wasn't, leave a comment or email me at talospotential@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. In addition, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with anyone who you think might need it. See you next time.